Alright, what's up guys? I've been gone for quite a while, been pretty busy, but I'm back with another video, and today I'm going to be talking about everything wrong with Man United. And I'll be honest, Man United is probably the team that I hate most. Maybe Barcelona comes close, but if I'm being honest, I would rather Man United gets relegated than, Liverpool wins the Premier League. I don't know why, but it's just, I don't know. I have a very entrenched hatred for Man United, but that's besides the point. I just want you to take that into consideration if I do sound biased, which I try not to, but, things happen. Alright, so the very first thing that I would say that Man United have a problem with is the delusion. And most of these are gonna center around how Man United perceive themselves. But getting back to the first point, Man United fans, Man United media, whoever is the manager at the time, Ed Woodward, just anyone related to the club, they have this general sort of assumption that Man United just have a God-given right to certain players, a certain position in the league. Many Man United fans just won't acknowledge the simple fact that, if you take out Matt Busby and Sir Alex Ferguson, they're an otherwise average club, which isn't a bad thing. Pretty much 98%, 99% of all teams in the world are pretty much average or have been average for most of their history. But Man United fans would have you believe that a player should look towards Man United first, or a manager should leave whatever project he's working on to go to Man United just on the basis that, they're the biggest club in the world or they've won the most Premier League titles. It's deluded, and it's entitled, and it's kind of pathetic when you think about the fact that there's many teams who are as successful or even more successful than Man United who aren't as entitled or have this sort of sense of I want it right now and I deserve it, and it's just something that personally annoys me. But it leads to a discourse for Man United fans when they have a certain very lofty expectation which is not consistent with the reality. The matter of the fact is, in their current state at least, a manager like Pocchetino will probably only come to Man United if he sees that things are moving in an upward direction. If Man United were in the second division, they would be treated like a second division club that had a lot of history, like Leeds or like Nottingham Forest. Man United fans would have you believe, on the other hand, that if they got demoted or relegated to the Championship next season, the best managers in the world, best players in the world would be running just to get to Man United. And it's just, I don't know, it's strange. The second thing that Man United suffers from is the lack of planning and proper direction. And I would say this mostly goes to the management, guys like Ed Woodward and the owners themselves. And I don't know, it's very strange that a club like Man United that makes so much money, they always talk about how much revenue they generate, how many fans they have. It's strange that this season is going for them the way it is. And it sounds a bit strange for me to say, given that they could still finish in the top four, and if they get lucky, or if PSG don't really come at their round of 16 match the right way, they could get to the quarterfinals of the Champions League, and who knows after that. But Man United, from what I know, should really be aiming for more. They're a better team than hoping for top four. Like, besides the fact that they're a big club, they've got good enough players to be challenging for the league. And it's strange that, going into the season, the Man United board were pretty resolute in deciding that they weren't going to back Mourinho, but they still wanted to go on with him. It's like they were trying to prove some sort of point to him that, we're in charge and whatever. And it's weird. I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but I think if you're running such a large enterprise, you've got millions of fans that are hedging on your success, you should have a lot better forward planning rather than, getting into the season and just hoping that the squad that you saw underperform, to be quite honest, last season, you barely improve it and you keep a manager who you can see isn't really bringing the results and you hope something will happen. It's weird, and it's just, you'd expect better from a bigger team. Okay, so the third thing that I have a problem with Man United is just how arrogant their fans are. And this sounds a little bit rich coming from a Liverpool fan, even though we're not as bad as United fans. You have a couple of Liverpool fans, you have a couple of Liverpool fans, saying we're going to win the league, 5 Champions Leagues, whatever. But it doesn't get to the level of Man United fans. Man United fans are so delusional and arrogant as to believe Zidane should just come and manage them. For what reason? Because they're the biggest team in the world. That's it. That's the rationale. Not taking into account the fact that there's teams with more league titles than them. Even though, in England they have the most, they don't have the most in general. If we're being factual, Rangers, if I'm not wrong, have the most, or Celtic. It's either of those two. And if you're looking at something that's more egalitarian or is a better measure of success across Europe, a team that has 3 Champions Leagues, 3 European Cups cannot claim to be the biggest club in the world. It just doesn't make sense. It's inconsistent with reality. You can't have 3 Champions Leagues and then Real Madrid has 13 and you're telling yourself we're the biggest team in the world. It's weird. Just listen to this Man United fan over here. This is after Arsenal beat Man United 3-0 in, I think, the 2015-16 season. And he says that Man United are going to finish above them. Just listen to this.
Brendan Rodgers has been sacked.
I heard that. But let me finish on this, yeah? Your fans don't know how to win and you don't know how to lose, and we're still going to finish above you in the table.
Do you want to put a £5 on it?
Let's put 100 quid on it.
Let's
for charity,
put 100 quid on it for charity.
Oh, man, forget it.
Do you want to put 100 on it as well?
I'll put £1,000 on it, mate. Arsenal are shit. Arsenal.
Alright, so let's move on from, my personal opinions about United, and let's talk about, the actual football, the thing that gets played on the pitch. And I would say one big problem that Man United has is their squad is just really unbalanced. Like, they have a player for every position, but it's not the way that, a top club should. For example, they've got about, I would say, 3 left wingers, I guess. You could say Sanchez, Martial, and maybe Rashford, I guess, also plays there. And then they've got 1 right winger. Who isn't a right winger? You've got Mato, who sometimes plays there. And that's a bit weird when you think about the fact that this has been a problem area for about 4 or 5 years. I don't know. I think you need to get a United fan to clarify that. But even other positions like right back or even the left back position, up until last season, they didn't actually have a proper left back who could naturally fill in that position. They're playing Ashley Young there. And for the last couple of years, they've been playing Antonio Valencia in the right back position, which isn't his natural position. He does well, he's fine there, but it's just not his natural position. You can't expect him to outperform the other individuals who play in that position. At best, he'll be a 7 out of 10, but you can't expect him to, add an extra dimension, not being his natural position. And then you have midfield, their defensive midfield position. Okay, they got Matic in 2016-17, I think, or the season prior, I'm not sure. And no, actually the season after, my bad. And while he did well, I guess, for his first season, he hasn't been really good since. And the other midfield positions, okay, discount Pogba. Pogba's world class, he performs given the right system, even though he hasn't really performed for United, but I'll put him aside for now. Their other midfield positions are just lacking. Like, they have who else? Herrera, Fellaini. They don't really have proper good players. I know they brought in Fred, but he's not the sort of player that you'd expect to move you closer to winning the league or the Champions League, the sort of trophies that United wants to win. And then even at striker, it's the same sort of situation. They've got Lukaku. Lukaku is a decent player. I wouldn't mind him at Liverpool, taking aside the whole Man United Liverpool thing, but I wouldn't mind him given that he's an effective striker. He does what he's supposed to, but he won't take you to that next level. That, if you understand what I mean, he's not the difference between good and great. He's the sort of player that if you're a good team, you just remain a good team by having him in your team. He won't change anything for you. And in addition to that, they probably do need a backup for him, because every once in a while, it definitely happened last year and his last season at Everton, he gets really fatigued midway through the season and his form suffers. So they definitely need a backup for him. Okay, the very last problem I have with Man United is one that's kind of personal, or you could say I'm biased, but come on, the freaking over-reliance on De Gea. I mean, have you seen how this guy freaking makes saves? It's like, it's not enough that he's good enough with his arms. His legs are like his third and fourth arms. It's crazy. But yeah, I don't like the fact that Man United have been able to get by with an otherwise average defense, you could say, the last couple of years. But having De Gea in goal, might as well have two people on the line, because he's insane. And in the bigger scheme of things, I guess it's a problem for United in that their goals conceded column has sort of looked better than it should the last couple of years. This year, it's definitely not, reflected De Gea's performance, or you could say De Gea hasn't been as good as other years. But in the years prior, you could say for the past 5 years, really, ever since Sir Alex Ferguson retired, De Gea's performances have really made Man United stray away from actually fixing their defense. And assuming that Man United actually want to, get back in the lead where they claim they already are, they should probably make sure that they tie down De Gea first and, get in a good world-class centre-back. I actually think Bailly is good, but the other ones are average, decent level. If they get in someone like Koulibaly or Skriniar or maybe Manolas, Varane maybe, although I don't know why he'd move to United, but if they can get in a player like that, then yeah, I could definitely see their defense actually being at the level that it probably should be. Yeah, so that's what I think about everything that's wrong with Man United. If you think that I may have overspoke or that I'm wrong about something, probably dislike if you're too lazy to comment. And if you agree with most of what I said, then, like, and then if you have anything else to add, then, comment still. And yeah, that's pretty much all for me. If you want to see more stuff like this, then I guess you should subscribe. And yeah, peace.